Hey everyone, I'm Joe with Siser North America. I want to start by congratulating you on your brand new Siser Craft Heat Press. Or maybe you have some questions and you're curious about the Siser Craft Heat Press and you're not sure where to begin. Well, hang out with me in this video and I'm going to unbox a brand new Siser Craft Heat Press and talk about all the contents inside. Stick around. All right, introducing the Siser Craft Heat Press. Now this heat press is a 32-pound heat press. So when unboxing, make sure that if you need, you have extra hands with you, someone to help you get it out of the box. In the box, or around the box I should say, has technical data, everything in it, the dimensions, everything you'll need. Make sure you also have a sturdy area you can place the heat press once it's outside of the box. So to begin, we're gonna open up the box to the heat press, and inside you are going to get the Siser Craft Heat Press manual. So hang on to this. It's going to be everything I talk about in this video is inside this manual. Hang on to that. Use help if you can. This press is 32 pounds roughly. So that's all that's going to come out of the heat press. Hang on to your box. Now to remove the packaging, simply just take the press outside of the plastic wrap. And then you're gonna need some scissors to open up the ribbon around the outside of the press. Be cautious on cutting that. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is open up the heat press. It is important when the heat press is not in use that it is open still. This is going to extend the life of your gas spring here. So you don't wanna keep it closed, especially when it's unused. You can take off the plastic over the adjustable pressure knob. The next thing you're going to do is going to connect your heat press. Now this is your power cord. It is important to make sure that you have an electrical outlet that runs 120 volts minimum. All right, now that we have our heat press is plugged in, again, 120 volt outlet that is grounded. Once this is good, you're gonna open up your heat press like this. Just a quick idea of what you're working with. Again, this is your lift handle up top. That's where you're gonna actually move the upper position to open. This upper platen is your heating element. So once this heat press is turned on, you want to avoid touching this upper platen. The lower platen is safe to load and unload your garment that you're going to be decorating. This padded cushion is going to help achieve the even pressure that you need when the press is closed. So now that we're good to go, the first thing you're going to do is turn on your heat press. Now in the back of the heat press, there is your power button. So you want to simply flip it on and now you're good to go. Okay, now we have our heat press is turned on. The next step we're gonna do is we're gonna move over to the display to the Siser Craft Heat Press. And all you have to do is adjust this display screen. Now it's gonna have three options, and when you turn it on, it's gonna default to 200. Remember, this is set in Fahrenheit. So this is the temperature it's set to right now. What you're gonna do is click this mode button in the center one time. That is going to bring you to the temperature setting to your heat press. So right now it's saying 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Now if you don't need that and you need to toggle one way or the other, these minus and plus symbols represent decreasing or increasing the temperature itself. So it is important to know what heat transfer vinyl you're using for a project and what temperature it needs to be at to apply that. So we're going to move down to 305 degrees for Siser Easy Weed for this example. And I'm simply holding down the minus button to take me there. Now, once that's set, all you have to do is click the mode button one more time, and that is going to bring you now to the time. This is set in seconds. So right now it defaults to 8 seconds. I want to increase that. So I'm going to go up to 13 seconds for Siser Easy Weed. Now, I have my temperature and time set. It is very important to make sure you hit that mode button one more time. And now it's going to go back to that first screen, which is still going to say 200. But now what's happening is this heat press is going to start warming up. So you need to give it about 15 to 20 minutes to heat up to that appropriate time that you just set. Now remember, once you have these settings set on your heat press, they're gonna stay this way every time you turn that heat press back on. So remember, once you have that set, you don't need to adjust it every time you turn it back on. So as your heat press is warming up, you'll notice that your temperature starts gradually rising, and once it gets to the temperature you have set, it's going to stop there. Okay, our heat press is now set to the temperature and the time that we need. The next and one of the most important steps is making sure your pressure is set correctly. Again, we're dealing with a heat press, so instead of having to hold down anything to get that pressure, the machine is going to do it for you. All you have to do is adjust this over the center pressure knob right here. Now, a thing to remember, the basics of this pressure knob are basically turn clockwise, it's going to increase the pressure. Turn counterclockwise, it's going to decrease the pressure. But very, very important to also make sure you remember which kind of garment you're working with, because that is going to influence the overall pressure of the machine. So I have two examples before me that I'm going to show you just of a difference that you might run into. So I'm working with a regular 100% cotton t-shirt here, which is very thin, stretchable. Now when I lay this onto my heat press and set my pressure, it's very light, so I have to increase my pressure, so I'm turning it clockwise. Now there is absolutely no need for you to turn this all the way until you can't close it, because you may risk damaging this, so don't do that. Just make sure you do some tests. So you want to feel that pressure when you're holding it down. So that right there would be perfect for a medium to firm pressure for a t-shirt. Now if I kept that set to that same setting, but move on to a thicker garment like a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a hoodie like this, to go thread this over my lower platen, make sure my hood is off, no buttons, nothing in the way, and I still have a flat area. Make sure your drawstrings are not in the way. You have a flat space. Now when I close this, I can feel that. Because of the thickness of this hoodie, I need to make sure that I dial that pressure back a little bit. So I'm going counterclockwise, and now that has just adjusted my pressure appropriately. Now remember, that is very, very important, and also to pay attention to what heat transfer vinyl you're using, because some heat transfer vinyls might require a firmer pressure and some might just require a medium to lighter pressure. So also be aware of what product you're using when you're doing your heat application. Alright, so for the final part of this video, I'm going to take you through a full application on the Siser Craft heat press. Remember, the surface area you have to apply is 9 inches by 12 inches. So that is where you also want to make sure that the transfer you're going to be cutting with your heat transfer vinyl is within that size. So I have my Easy Weed cut and ready to go. This is about 10 inches wide, so it'll fit perfectly along the width of this lower platen, which is 12 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do is load up my garment on the lower platen. Again, be very careful. This is your heating element, so be careful working underneath it. And now I am going to adjust my pressure to make sure that I'm at a medium to firmer pressure for Siser Easy Weed. All right, I'm good to go there. Now I'm going to take my Easy Weed transfer, lay it down, find the center. And now we do recommend to also use a cover sheet. So in this case, I'm going to be just using simply parchment paper as a cover sheet, which will work perfectly fine. This is just to protect your upper platen in case anything happens to get stuck up there. So just use a cover sheet when you're applying. And again, all you have to do now is close, and now the timer is going to count down those seconds that you had it set for. And once it gets down to that, you're going to hear, there you go. We're going to lift it up. With Siser Easy Weed, we can peel hot. And there you have it. With the Siser Craft heat press, you have perfect pressure, consistent temperature, and a precise pressing time. That's all it takes to make a fun, fast, efficient, decorated garment with Siser heat transfer vinyl using the Craft heat press. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it answered some questions you may have had. If you're looking to get your hands on one of these bad boys today, go visit your local Michaels store. I'm Joe with Siser North America. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all very soon.